Hey, Newsa-Cast listeners, you can find every episode on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. Please help us grow by subscribing or sharing the Newsa-Cast, or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Now, let's get this show on the road. Everybody knows I've officiated who listens to this podcast. You've had probably the top play that I've ever seen in my life, where you hurdled a guy right in the middle of Kimberly's field, right across the K. Absolutely illegal as hell, but the absolute most beautiful play ever.
You threw a flag on him? Come on.
Threw a flag, yeah.
Welcome to the Newsa-Cast. What is a Newsa-Cast? It's where we bring local folk stories to life through conversation.
Hey, Newsa-Cast listeners, welcome to episode 15. We're on getting past those teenage years and working our way through the troubling teens. And, just happy that we've made it this far. 15 episodes in, we have I think a good catalog if you want to go back, if this is your first time as a listener, and go back and listen to some good interviews.
I agree, Tosh. We're finding people all over northeastern Wisconsin to talk to with interesting stories. You're right, 15.
Yeah, and I think we have another interesting story. Local boy, football player, DJ Stewart, being able to, get out of Appleton and go to a nice program at North Dakota State, and just talking a little bit about what he's doing and what he's trying to do, and talking a little bit about those Kimberly years. I think it's going to be a nice episode for you to listen to, and nice episode to just hear something about a local player.
Yeah, absolutely. Another, kid from northeastern Wisconsin played. I mean, Kimberly still has great programs. We'll talk about the game Friday night here in a second. But, DJ was part of the Steve Jones run, where the 70 straight wins, the numerous state titles in a row. DJ never lost a game in his high school career. Pretty amazing. But while that all sounds great, I think you're going to want to stick and listen to the story, because it wasn't all easy, Tosh, as we found out. Yeah. But we'll get into that a little bit more later.
Yeah, so we had it was kind of crazy. My son had homecoming this weekend and went to the Lawrence Chapel, and it always amazes me of what the Lawrence Chapel draws for people to come to take their homecoming pictures. There are kids from New London, there are kids from Winneconne, there are kids from FVL, kids from East. It was crazy. Not as bad as prom pictures were last spring, but it was pretty crazy to get up on the stairs, and how, you're thinking about, we had Lawrence last week, just thinking about how iconic the Lawrence Chapel is, and how many people have had wedding pictures, prom pictures, homecoming pictures, senior pictures.
Yes.
All at the chapel. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful campus. The chapel in particular. You're right. We've said it a few times now, and for the last few weeks, it's Lawrence University is a gem of the Fox Cities. There's a lot of hidden places. You're right, for pictures. You go down by the river now. Some of the trails down there. Those are just packed on some of these nights with people getting pictures taken.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was fun. Homecoming's always, we talked about it last week. It's always a good time. FVL and Appleton East took one on the chin each night, but those memories are still going to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, as we've come to find out, Tosh, I couldn't tell you one high school score from our days, eons ago, but you remember you remember your friends, you remember homecoming, you remember the special events. Those kind of things certainly stick with you. And I'm sure some of the kids, though, when you're playing football in big games, this Kimberly game, Tosh, Friday night, that was one hell of a game. I mean, we knew it was going to be close. We knew that Kaukauna had a chance to win, and by gosh, they did win, and it was a good FVA defensive battle.
Oh yeah, it was definitely a grind, and like many of these games have been this year. I mean, you have 4 or 5 teams in the FVA that can beat each other on any night. And
absolutely,
it's been proven. I mean, we've had some very, very close football games. Kimberly's been involved in quite a few where it's been 1 or 2 points that separate the winner from the loser.
That's right. It doesn't take much. And as Mike Holmgren was always fond of saying, just qualify for the tournament, and then you never know what's going to happen. And that's what these teams are going to do. Both Kimberly and Kaukauna are tied now for first in the FVA. Kimberly plays Appleton North coming up on this Friday. I forgot to look before we hopped on air who Kaukauna plays, but
they play Appleton East.
Oh, okay. Well, well, we're not into the prediction game, but
No.
we may have co-FVA champions, Tosh.
Yeah, it is definitely a possibility. So yeah, it'll be an interesting look on Friday night, early Saturday morning. Pairings will come out, and they'll be able to see who's playing who. I mean, Kaukauna does drop down to Division II for the playoffs, and they have a really good chance at moving through the tournament. You could see them down in Madison for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It's super exciting time of year. I mean, you have volleyball is in full swing. Stuff's happening. Soccer is starting to heat up here with the playoffs. And then, of course, week 9 and then playoffs of football. It's a great time of year for high school sports. We had Paul Lecker on a couple of weeks ago, the AppletonSportsPage.com. You can follow him for all the latest at that website. Yep. It's a great time. But you know what I'm excited for, Tosh?
What's that?
It's a really good time of year because the Fox Cities magazine, Tosh, came out, and it's time to start voting on the Golden Fork Awards.
Oh, there you go.
It's you and I like to eat. We like to get around, check out the restaurants and shops in town, and I love this. I mean, it gets you it just gets you to go try new places, places you don't think of, but 2, it makes you appreciate. Man, we've got some good restaurants in this area.
Yeah, and you know what? It's a source of pride for these restaurants as well. And you get voted as a Golden Fork winner. You get the sign that says Golden Fork winner, what years you were. That's a huge accomplishment. And these restaurants will be going all out, and people need to get on and vote and really talk up your favorite restaurant, because that's how people find out about restaurants. They hear it from word of mouth. So,
absolutely. Every time I go to a Mr. Cinders, I feel like I'm walking into Yankee Stadium's Monument Park with all the years they've won in a row. It's incredible. But well, I don't know, maybe the best steak sandwich in the area, so well deserved. But yeah, absolutely. It's Fox Cities Magazine is a great magazine. It's a lot of interest, similar to this podcast. It's all about Northeastern Wisconsin, and they've been doing this for a lot of years. And you're right, Tosh, it makes a huge difference for a lot of these restaurants to get that award and to get that recognition.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we do have some excellent restaurants in this area. One of my favorite right now is the taco place, the new taco place right on Richmond Drive.
Oh, yes. Tipsy Tacos, right?
Tipsy Taco. Yeah, that place is fantastic.
Yes.
You always go in for a good margarita and some tasty tacos, and order them by just single tacos, nice street tacos, and get 2 or 3 of them. And
that's right.
And enjoy. So that is a great restaurant. I think that's been a nice addition. I haven't been to the new Mad Elephant yet, which is in the old Houdini building.
Mm-hmm.
But they look like they have some good food, some good curry, and also holding some of Houdini's staples.
Yes.
And we'll be having those on the menu as well. So another great place to check out if you're interested in getting out and about the town. With all the homecomings now done, I think there might be 1 or 2 more next week. It might be a little easier to get a reservation.
Yeah. No doubt. Yeah. It's, some nights were tough to get reservations for sure. I always like the greasy spoon, the breakfast category, Tosh. I love.
Absolutely.
I'm a little partial, I think, to Mateo's on Wisconsin Avenue. It's been a couple of different places, but bang for the buck and quality of food, there's no better breakfast skillet than that place. So
that's good. But being on the east side, so to speak, you got to go Shriner's Diner.
Yeah.
It's a classic.
that place now, I love that place because it's one of the few places now that still has the counter where they cook. They cook. That guy is a magician back there watching that.
Absolutely.
One of my favorite things to do is to sit at that counter and just watch him operate the griddle. It's absolutely nuts. He is a professional.
It is a fun place to go to. You get good group of people in there, and things are buzzing, and it's fun.
Yeah.
You don't have many places like that anymore. So it's cool to go to a place like that where you sit at the counter. So
I agree. Gosh darn it, Tosh, I'm hungry now. Let's go.
yeah, we might as well. So we hope you enjoy this episode. Remember to follow us on Facebook and X and Instagram and TikTok, and subscribe and download wherever you get your podcasts. And if you enjoy our throwback to tonight and this episode as well, make sure you look at YouTube on Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday morning with your cup of coffee. Really, no matter what happens with that coffee experience, the throwback will be there for you and help you through that.
Hey, Newsa-Cast listeners, it is time for everyone's favorite look at history, and we're going to take an old look at new for this week. And I'm going to let Joe take over the reins and see what Joe has for his old look at new.
Well, Tosh, I'm gonna continue. I'm deep diving into Appleton, back to its beginning almost. We talked a little bit about Lawrence last week and how it started, and it's a cornerstone of College Avenue. So if we work our way a little bit west down College Avenue, and in the 1870s, 1870 to be exact, Appleton was a thriving city of 4,518 people. Augustus Smith was the mayor. And Augustus Smith was a banker. So if we go to the corner of College Avenue and Appleton Street, right there where City Hall is, and there is actually a bank on the northwest corner, we're going to talk about that corner a little bit, because that's just about the center of Appleton. There's been lots happened on that corner through the years. So that corner was really developed in around the 1870s. So like I said, Augustus Smith was the mayor, and he was a banker. So what do all good bankers do? They bank, Tosh. And he decided in 1868 he was going to start a bank. So he got 12 shareholders together, and November 14th, 1870, they created the first national bank. That bank moved to the Pettibone Peabody building, which is City Hall right now.
Okay.
Between the Pettibone building and City Hall, it was H.C. Pringy Company for a lot of years. Just a side note, Danny O sold suits there.
That's true.
But anyway, for a couple of years, he got his bank going, and he decided to build 2 years, or actually within a year, he was super, super successful, needed more space. So he built another building, kitty corner from there. So now we're on the southwest corner of College Avenue in Appleton, and he built a building which is actually still there. It's been several different things. I know it's an pretty awesome bakery right now.
Right.
Shout out to them, because they do give me cookies every once in a while when I do that route. Yep. So thank you.
Voyager.
Yes, that's it.
Voyagers. Yep. Excellent sourdough bread.
Oh, so good. So good. That building opened December 6th, 1871. Like I said, it's still there. I'm looking at a photo right now from back in pretty close to that era, and it's you can see that building still looks, kind of the same. It's been painted 100 times. But 43 years later, Tosh, and I'm a little too young to remember this, but the Greek revival structures with the big columns and all of that, just those big prominent buildings. That was built in August 18th, 1913. He built that bank, the First National Bank, right there. And it stood there until the late 60s. And eventually that, became out of style, and they did whatever. And now it's still a bank, but I find that corner interesting. There's pretty much always been a bank at that corner. That's, the central part of Appleton, central part of town. And it's had a pretty interesting history. So I thought, what,
right,
let's take a look at the corner of College and Appleton and my little look back at new.
Excellent. That's good stuff. I mean, history of Appleton. That's right where we are. So that's always good to hear. We don't get to hear that kinds of stories. We know they're old buildings downtown, but not about the history of them. So that's cool.
Absolutely.
It's good stuff. Well, I'm going back to the 1870s as well. 1871, as a matter of fact, October 8th of 1871. And if you remember your grade school history, you probably remember what event happened at that time, but it's the Great Peshtigo Fire.
Yeah.
October 8th, 1871. And the same night, which gets a little bit more recognition, is the Great Chicago Fire that happened at the same time. So Yeah, 12,000, at least 12,000 people died, possibly twice as many of that as a result of the fire, and approximately 8,800 fatalities just in Peshtigo alone.
So you're gonna have to refresh my memory a little bit. Was the Peshtigo fire? I know they were the same night. I know the cow tipped over the lantern in Chicago, started that on fire, or so they say.
Yep.
But the Peshtigo
So
fire
they
was
say.
yeah. uh, so, but the Peshtigo fire was actually bigger, wasn't it?
Peshtigo fire was actually bigger.
Yeah.
And it started in the afternoon. They had, just ripe conditions that year, about 2:00 in the afternoon. And a small wind turned a small fire, and the wind gradually increased. Fire alarms went off. And from that time, the fight into the fire all along upper Michigan, tracks south and southwest of the city just took off. And this was in Holland, Michigan. And as the night continued, it continued to have these winds were a huge force. And at times it blew hurricane force winds, spreading the fire and the flames all throughout that area of the city. Yeah, that was a huge one, right? Huge fire.
Yeah.
And then Chicago, that's the eyewitnesses saw the beginning of the blaze at Patrick O'Leary's barn. And no one really knows for sure how that started. But they do say the rumor has circulated that a cow was responsible for kicking over an oil burning lamp and setting the straw afire.
Well, I mean, everything was basically made out of wood and straw back then. So
that's true.
See how it's just inferno.
Yeah. Do you remember learning about the Peshtigo fire in elementary school?
Yeah, definitely. And I kind of remember reading a book about it, and I've actually, and it's been, 40 years probably, but I do kind of remember they have like a museum up there maybe, or some landmarks or something.
Absolutely.
So I remember doing a little bit of that as well.
October 8th, 1871. So that's right during this weekend that this episode will come out. So kind of look at Wisconsin history there. This is pretty big one. I mean, we all learn about that in middle school, elementary school at some point, and continue to take a look at those things.
And it's been a summer of wildfires, hasn't it, Tosh, with the smoke all through the summer?
Yeah. That Canada's got hit pretty bad. It's amazing how those fires can influence with the weather an entire other nation.
Yeah.
So pretty cool.
No doubt.
From a weather standpoint, pretty interesting stuff. From a human standpoint, not a good thing.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Agree. But we kind of like geeking out on some of that stuff. So anyway, that's our old looking new, Tash, our favorite segment. All right, Tosh, I am excited for this interview. I've known DJ Stewart for actually a number of years, and really kind of got to know him a lot better over the last year. But DJ caught my eye. One, he was just an absolute fantastic athlete at Kimberly. He played, when Steve Jones was at the helm, he won. He was part of that 70-game streak. In fact, DJ never lost a high school football game, which is just nuts to think about.
That is amazing. Yeah.
4 state titles and never lost a game. I mean, people reminisce about their high school career. I think DJ has a right to reminisce about his high school career. That's nuts.
That is nuts. And they went on to, during his time, to break the record of Manitowoc, the Ships, who had an incredible run back in the 80s.
Yes. DJ gets into it. He talks a lot about Steve Jones. But what I was struck by and didn't know this about DJ was things weren't easy, especially in the beginning. I think you can almost hear in my voice when we double back and we ask him, "What did you really walk as far as you said you walked to just participate in sports?" It's, the old adage, I walked 10 miles uphill both ways to school. DJ literally did that. So it's amazing. He's a terrific, I call him kid, but he's an adult and he's a special kid. I think that comes out in this interview, and I'm excited to kind of be able to have the Newsa-Cast showcase DJ.
Yeah. It is a good interview. And it is, again, we hear about the connection one person can make to, and how that has a huge effect on the rest of your life. And he talks about that, just like Coach Zadraga did last week as well, talking about somebody who made a difference and took the time to get to know them. And basically, springboarded many things for them to come for the rest of their life. So, yeah, I think you're going to enjoy this interview.
Tosh, I think I say this every single episode, and it's a thing that blows me away the most. It's just what you said. What a difference people make. The simple, just look after somebody, help somebody, show somebody a sport, any little thing. And we found that with every single person we've talked to. 15 episodes of these now we've done, and they all have very similar stories. So for people to think they don't make a difference, you really do make a difference. We have a lot of testimonies that say different.
We hope you enjoyed the interview with DJ Stewart, and hope you get to know him a little bit better.
You played at Kimberly High School, graduated in 2018 from Kimberly. But you had, everybody knows I've officiated who listens to this podcast, knows that you've had one of the, literally probably the top play that I've ever seen in my life. Absolutely illegal as hell, but the absolute most beautiful play ever, where you hurdled a guy right in the middle of Kimberly's field, right across the K. But I mean, when somebody does that, it's really cool. In high school, and you can't hurdle over somebody that only has 2 feet on the ground. DJ was able to do that. That's quite a feat. But yeah, that was kind of the first time, it's like, holy cow, this kid really has moves. He's what an athlete this guy is. And
you threw a flag on him? Come on.
What?
Threw a flag.
DJ has
probably right at him.
It's a lacrosse toss straight up in the air. But DJ, I guess rightfully so, because I actually thought a lot about this after you told me this actually a couple of weeks ago. You said, I understand why you threw the flag, but could you do me a favor next time and hold the flag, because it interferes with my highlight tape? Because I always forget you guys use everything for highlights, and it probably doesn't look so good with you jumping in the air and me just launching a flag straight up in the air. So
you guys held it just long enough that I was able to use it still. So that I can thank you guys for, at least.
So DJ, I guess, starting off, talk a little bit about your childhood and growing up. Football, do you play any other sports besides football?
Yeah. Growing up, I was the oldest child of 3, raised here, Kimberly, Wisconsin, my whole entire life. Raised by a single mother. We got by, we did our thing. And sports were really kind of like that driving thing for me that really helped continue to push through every day, stay out of trouble, be productive with my life. Started playing football when I was in 5th grade.
Okay.
And then I actually ran track as well. So I ran track, started that up when I was in 7th grade. Those are really my 2 main sports other than CYO basketball.
Okay.
Was that the Bulldog program?
Yep. Actually started playing flag football first. My mom said I was too small when I was in 5th grade. So I took that, with a grain of salt and played flag football for 2 years. And once my mom saw what I could do and saw how fast I was growing, she finally put me into Bulldogs in 6th grade.
Looking back on that, though, that was probably the right decision, would you say? Because there's probably a lot of benefits to actually playing flag football and just learning how a football field works and how to run around.
Yeah, 100%. I think got majority of my moves from flag football. Obviously, you can't run people over in that, as much as I wanted to sometimes. But I had to be able to move from side to side, spin moves, different jukes and things like that. So definitely helped me in that aspect of the game.
So were you the kid in flag football that 20 yards to go in for a touchdown? You ran about 84 yards in the backfield, then found a hole and ran those 20 yards for the touchdown?
I won't even lie to you guys. When I started playing flag football in 4th grade, I was not good. I mean, out of I was probably like 6 or 8 games I think we played in a season. I had 2 touchdowns total. And knowing my history and stuff from obviously high school, you'd be like, there's no way that's real. But it wasn't until about 5th grade I started turning into that guy that you were just describing. I was the kid that was just running around, taking a 20-yard touchdown for, making it 60 yards. So, but yeah, 6th grade is when I was turned into that kid.
So do you have any, thinking back to that time, do you have any coaches you remember from, maybe your early days of Bulldogs or back in flag football that kind of stand out and maybe took you under the wing a little bit and said, here's what we need from you, or here's maybe they're good mentors to you or something like that?
Yeah, my one mentor that I can really remember off the top of my head was Coach Rohrig. Coach Rohrig coached me in sixth grade. He gave me my big break. They wanted me to play tight end when I got to Bulldog football, and I really did not want to play tight end. I didn't want to block people. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to play running back, so I begged and begged and begged and begged. And finally, Coach Rohrig said, "Hey, we're going to let you play running back against the Little Shoe Jets. We're going to see what you can do. But if it's not a fit, we're going to put you back at tight end, and that's just how it's going to be." So, sure enough, they gave me my first handoff, and that thing went straight to the end zone. And I came off to the sideline, and Coach Rohrig looks at me and he's like, it was pretty impressive, but you run straight up and down. We got to work on your pad level. But Coach Rohrig would be probably my first mentor that I had in football.
You were playing, did you say you were playing hoops too, the CYOA?
CYO basketball, yep. Playing for the Christian Youth Organization. Good times back then.
That's actually a pretty competitive league, isn't it? I think that's still going on around here, and I feel like that can get fairly competitive at times.
Oh, it was a big deal to be a CYO champion. Real big deal. So sad to say that I was a CYO world champ runner-up twice. Didn't quite make it, all the way.
What was your position?
I was all over the floor. I couldn't even tell you, honestly. Basketball's not one of the things that I'm really too good when it comes to terminology. But I would just like to say my position was athlete. I was just all over the place. So I just was where I needed to be when they told me to be there.
Speaking of athlete, you'd mentioned you ran track as well. You ultimately, I think, became a really good hurdler, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah, yep. I ended my senior year as the 300-meter hurdle state champion. So that was pretty cool, especially because I ran for a guy, Coach Chad Weinberg. And he was he was one of the biggest influences that I had in high school. Great dude, like really, really good guy.
How long, looking back, so when did you actually start to hurdle? That's difficult to do. It's got to be even more difficult to master.
So I'll tell you, I had a friend, Austin Wallace. He was a really good hurdler with me as well. He hurdled in middle school. So I was a sprinter. I always thought of myself as a sprinter. But one day I was getting bored at track practice. Austin was doing, hurdles for his hurdle practice. And I started jumping over a couple, and Coach Weinberg just so happened to be at the track when I was messing around over these hurdles. And he was like, "Do that again, run over a couple more." So I was like, all right, whatever. I didn't really think I did anything too crazy. Turns out, I guess I was doing something crazy as an eighth grader. And when Coach Weinberg saw that, he's like, "I need you to be one of my hurdlers," because that was springtime, my eighth grade year. So me and Coach Weinberg worked together, and he was just a volunteer guy. Like, he just loved the sport. So me and him worked together in the summertime leading into my freshman year, and I was a hurdler for him ever since.
So how do you settle into the 300? So you go from a sprinter, have you done, I don't even know what the different events are in hurdling, but is there a 100-yard hurdle? Sprint or whatever, 110?
There's 110 meter hurdles. So that's what you'll run as a male in high school. And then there's the 300 meter hurdle. So 300 meter hurdle, when that was introduced to me, I was like, absolutely not. Heck no, I'm not doing that. Didn't want to run anything longer than 200 meters. So, but literally just because of the guy that Coach Weinberg was, I was like, all right, man, I'll hunker down and we'll get it done. So definitely grinded it out. Wasn't a fan of it my freshman year at all. And then I got into a groove my sophomore year, junior year, senior year.
And you bring this back a little bit to football. How did hurdles help for your football playing, or vice versa?
Oh man, hips don't lie. So being able to get over a hurdle definitely takes a lot of flexibility in the hips. So having that flexibility, that mobility, hip wise, definitely helped me. I wasn't the biggest dude in high school. I was a running back at 5'11", 170 pounds. So I wasn't running through anybody. So I was running away or I was running around them, making them look kind of silly. So hurdles definitely helped me out with that one.
Just getting back to training. So how long would you say it takes you to get, okay, you're going to run the 300 DJ, master that to get from not ever running it to being state champion? Is that, are you doing something year round? I mean, how are you getting there? What's that process like?
I mean, the Kimberly strength and conditioning programs are insane. So I feel like they all flow in together really, really smoothly, really, really nice. When I first started, uh, it was really mostly just kind of getting comfortable with like a 400 meter. So, obviously in practice, we're running and doing conditioning and stuff like that. So, I'm training there. And then in meets to make it even more intense, they would put me in 400-meter races, just a 400-meter dash, and really start to get me comfortable with that. And, once you get comfortable with 400 meters, 300 meters seems like cake. So that's kind of how they really helped me out and trained me in that aspect. It also just kind of helps that naturally I, was pretty well conditioned. And then with football training as well, going straight from, like track into football, it wasn't a super hard, transition, I would say. Yeah, I was pretty conditioned pretty much all year round. It wasn't until I got into college when I was really like, oh, wow, I'm starting to lose my conditioning a little bit here because the training was just different.
So going back, you mentioned Kimberly and you mentioned training program. It's kind of legendary around the Fox Valley and maybe even the state, thinking of Kimberly's training program and the number of 2-sport athletes and 3-sport athletes coming through Kimberly. When did that training start? Did that hit you in middle school already, that you're already starting to see what's going on at the high school? And that's like eye-opening and you're like, this is what I need to do.
Yeah. We actually did, I want to say starting in 6th grade, we did like football camps every single Wednesday it was. Okay. And then we did have morning conditionings in middle school as well. So you started in 6th grade, learning actually the Bulldogs playbook. Which was really, really similar to what you would learn as a freshman in high school. So you're running, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, you're running that playbook and, you get into freshman year of high school and you already know what's going on practically. So, yeah. They definitely know how to get us kind of rolling with that. They definitely know how to kind of get us introduced to it. And I would definitely say that, it was definitely nuts. It was definitely one of those deals where if you weren't really committed to, the idea of the sport and really just committed to yourself, I would say in general, definitely would have been something as a 6th grader that would be pretty difficult to hop into.
So going through, Kimberly, obviously, Coach Jones, I don't know, did you ever lose a state tournament? I mean, or a state game? Did you win a state championship every year of your career at Kimberly football?
Yeah. Yep. Football, I won 4. So one freshman through senior year.
I mean, that's just absolutely nuts. That doesn't happen to other than Kimberly. I mean, what is that? I guess it doesn't suck to be a Kimberly football player, huh?
No, I would definitely agree. It does not suck to be a Kimberly football player.
You broke Manitowoc. Manitowoc had a legendary record of winning. I don't know how you broke their record of straight games won. And I think they won 3 straight in the 80s.
I want to say they won 45.
45, yeah. And being part of that, I guess one of the big things is, you're coming up as a 6th grader, 7th grader, and is that already being drilled into you that you have the chance to be part? I mean, is it already in your mind that you have the chance to be part of something great when you're moving into Kimberly football and as a freshman?
I would say that winning was never something that I ever heard preached about. It was never really something that was ever talked about. Consistency was definitely a big deal that was talked about in Kimberly football, like being consistent, being accountable, having integrity. Those things were the things that led to us winning. So winning was never anything that was talked about. Winning was never anything that was really driven into us. It was more so just the culture of everything around it. And then that kind of brought us into obviously winning as many games and things that we did. So
I would have to imagine you feel you're pretty lucky to be able to go through a program like that. Of course, Coach Jones being the leader and more or less the architect of what you just described. you run into special people in your life, and the older you get, you realize that, you know, you stumble across these people that are amazing. I would imagine Coach Jones is one of those people in your life. What kind of guy was he? What kind of impact does he have on your life?
Yeah. Personally, on my life, Coach Jones was pretty much like a father, honestly, to me. You know, there were days that I don't know. He was really just he was just that dude, honestly. I mean, I'll never forget the day that he didn't even know who I was. He didn't even know, you know, if I was really even going to be that special for, you know, him, for his team or anything like that. It was, you know, me and my brother, we would you know, we came up a little on the lower end of the poverty scale. So me and my brother were walking from, you know, where we would practice across the street from the YMCA in Kimberly to Little Chute. So we were about halfway across the bridge and we had a little ways to go still. And Coach Jones drove past and he noticed and kind of pulled over on the other end of the bridge and was just like, "Hey, like, you guys need a ride?" Like, whatever. And we looked at him with our shoulder pads and stuff in our hands and we're like, "Yeah, we would like one." So we had quite a ways to go still. And he, you know, he dropped us off, didn't obviously ask for anything in return, just was just, you know, and the whole way there, just giving us life lessons, just talking to us, not making it a big deal that, you know, our mom couldn't come and get us at the time, and just made us feel good. So he was a dude that, you know, I would have ran through a brick wall for if he told me to. You know, I would have figured it out. So personally, Coach Jones was always somebody really special to me, somebody really close to me. And yeah, like I said, I would have done pretty much anything that, you know, he asked me to do, just because of the kind of guy that he was. You know, he practiced what he preached, and there's not a lot of people like that, really, I would say, anymore. So yeah, man, if I could be half the dude that he is, you know, I'd feel like I made it. So
DJ, am I getting this right? You and your brother are at the YMCA in Kimberly, the one that's south of the football field in Kimberly?
Yep.
You guys would walk to Little Chute, across that bridge into Little Chute?
Yeah. If you guys know where that Piggly Wiggly is, way over, almost in Corona.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah, we live back in that neighborhood.
Well, how often would you do that a week? Every day?
Pretty often. Yeah, me and my brother would make it that way pretty often.
Where did you go to grade school? So was that something you would do after school, and then you guys would walk home?
Grade school, we went to every once in a while. It depended on my mom's work schedule. If we could like get a ride. Otherwise, like, my aunts and my uncles would help out. You know, when I was really young, my grandma would help out when she was still around. You know, drop us off. But grade school, we went to Westside Elementary.
Yep.
So where were we living? We moved a lot. So I've lived in about 10 different places, all within the Fox Valley. So it's got to pinpoint which house I was at that time, even. But I mean, yeah, we would walk quite a bit, you know, or ride our bikes or whatever.
Sure.
So yeah.
Well, that's impressive. I mean, more than anything, that's impressive. I mean, knowing you here for a little bit and the kind of person you know you are now and turned into, man, that's pretty cool. That not everybody does that. That's pretty awesome.
Thanks, man.
Coach Jones, obviously, like you said, a huge influence in your life. Was he like that to everybody? Was he like his, like, I don't know what you want to call it, his beliefs and everything you guys just buy into because that's the type of person he is? And that's probably one of the big things that helped your team as well, right?
Yeah, 100%. He wouldn't treat anybody differently. He was like that with everybody. So anybody that needed help, anybody that just needed somebody to talk to, if they took the time to find him, he would be there. So we bought into everything the dude had to say, literally because he did everything he talked about. So
that's awesome.
It was a really, I mean, he's just a cool dude. I mean, there's a reason why he is where he is today. You know, talking leadership into these big college teams and, you know, these, you know, on the sideline at Packer games and things and full Packer gear and headsets. So, I mean, he definitely, there's a reason why he is where he is. So
yeah,
that's awesome.
Definitely. So you guys are playing, you're being influenced by Coach Jones, you're winning state championships, you're racking up yards every game. Great special teams player. You obviously start getting recruited. Now, how did that recruiting process work for you? You ultimately went to North Dakota State, I believe, right? When did that start for you? Yeah, there you go. What was that process like for you?
It was interesting. It really was. It started with just the small schools. I really started getting recruited heavily after my junior season. That was pretty much like my breakout year where I really started showing people what I could do. It started out, like I said, with smaller schools, so, like Oshkosh, Whitewater, Stevens Point, places like that would come into the school, sit down, have conversations. Lots of times when I had passes written out for me, because I was going down to student services. That's where we'd meet with all the recruiters and stuff like that. So, it was a couple times a week where I was going down, talking to different people. And then finally, the big schools started coming in: Wyoming, North Dakota State, Illinois State, places like that. Started coming in to talk to me, and then I never really understood any of it. Nobody ever really taught me that kind of part of it. So I was just pretty confused. I remember my sophomore year of high school, thinking to myself that like college wasn't a thought for me once I found out how much it
Right.
costed and knew kind of my situation currently at the time. So, college was never really a real thought for me. And then now it's being thrown into my face. So I was just kind of like, I don't know how this stuff's going to work. And, obviously the recruiters tell you everything you want
Right.
to hear. We got this, we got these facilities, we got this much money we can give you. We got, so it was really overwhelming, honestly. But that's pretty much in a nutshell how it all went down. I would just have a pass written out for me. I would collect it, and I was going down to the student services to meet a recruiter. Other than that, it was pretty much just talking on Twitter and the
Sure.
DMs, and messaging on there.
Would you go on a campus visit? I mean, did you go to Wyoming? Did you go to North Dakota? Did you check out the campuses?
Yeah, so the only visit I went on was to North Dakota. So I went to North Dakota State's campus. It was the only visit that I went on. Mostly, honestly, like it was just because of the fact that like we couldn't afford to go see schools that were
Right.
farther away. So I was surprised that we scrounged up the amount that we did to get a rental car to make the 8.5 hour drive out to Fargo. So that was pretty much the only one that I took. There was official visits though that I could have taken. Those other schools just didn't really interest me. I came from obviously Kimberly, a school that was really successful, championships. Was very much so associated with it. North Dakota State was coming off, I think at the time, 4 championships in a row. So that was the only one really that made sense for me at the time to
Sure.
go to. If I could go back in time and tell high school me anything, I would say go on all the official
Right.
visits. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure you get 4 of them, right? And there was 4 major schools that were offering. So, but only made it out to North Dakota State.
Did you like school? Were you a good student? Were you interested in the academic end?
I would say I was a pretty good
Yeah.
student. High school wise, I probably messed around a little more than I should have. Work ethic wasn't all there, but North Dakota State, I left North Dakota State my last semester with a 4.0.
Oh,
So
yeah. Nice.
I was I would say I'm a pretty good student. Yeah, when I put my
And you
mind
still
to it.
like to read. You always impress me. You sometimes tell me what you're reading currently, and I always enjoy that. So that's cool to see.
Heck yeah.
Was there something about North Dakota? I mean, North Dakota State, something that really interested you that you're like, yeah, I think I could handle this besides the winning, but like campus wise, the feel of it. Was there something that was like, yeah, I could stay here for a little bit.
I mean, North Dakota State, it just reminded me a lot of home when I went there. Honestly, when me and my mom were driving back, and my brother and my sister, we just kept talking about how it felt like home. Like it genuinely felt like home, and all the coaches were really good people. They treated me well while I was there. Had a little bit of a disagreement with the head guy when I was on my way out, but other than that, they were all really there for me. And yeah, it just felt like home, and especially when I got on campus and actually started to like get to know other people. I'm like, man, these people are funny. A lot more diversity out, on a football team. I had people from all over the country,
Okay.
meeting them and stuff like that. So it was good. Yeah, it was real
When
good.
you're in it, you're in your dorm, you're doing classes, you're playing football. what's your schedule like? What is your year-round schedule as a D1 athlete? Just that's got to be pretty insane.
It's nuts. Like if I could put it in one word, it's insane, honestly. So we would I mean, it depends on what time of the year it is too, because sometimes the year are worse
Sure.
than others. But when you're getting in there August and you're reporting for fall camp, I mean, I graduated as a senior June 1st. I left for North Dakota State June 10th. So we were already in full swing football, getting these captain's practices and everything rolling. Like, I was learning right then
Right.
and there. I was enrolled in my first class. It was English already at that time. So it was insane. And then once fall camp starts up in August, I mean, it's football all day, every day for, a whole month straight. That's it. So it was wake up at the crack of dawn, typically around like 4:45, get to meetings, by, 5:30, 5:15. After meetings, you would typically go to breakfast. After breakfast, you go hit a lift. After a lift, you would go and do practice practically. And then sometimes it was different depending if you were offense or defense. You would go to lunch first or you would lift first. And then it was meetings again. You couldn't do 2 days anymore at that time when I was there. They pretty much banned it. So we would go and do like walkthroughs. And then we go back in the meeting room, more meetings, team meetings, back on the field again, more walkthroughs. And by that time, it was about 8 o'clock at night. You were going back to the dorm, falling asleep. Dorm room was hot as all heck in there. You're just trying to stay cool, windows wide open, and you wake up, you do it again. And then you go the next day again and again and again. And then you get one day off, and then it's back onto the ground again, 5 straight days in a row.
So in season, you have your typical Saturday game. What is your weekly schedule like? Like, how are you balancing classes? I'm assuming there's, travel involved. I'm assuming you guys traveled by air to a lot of Saturday games, right? So you're leaving Friday, getting, your Sundays, things like that. I guess, can you kind of lay out what your week was like, game day week?
Yeah. So pretty much with game day week, you were assigned a designated spot for lifting. So that was always really consistent. So depending on what time you were lifting, whether it was in the morning, middle of the day, or a little kind of like 3 o'clock ish. So there's always like that 5 a.m., 11 o'clock, and then like that 1:30 to 2 p.m. group. And then typically my classes were always in the mornings. So I was at an 8 a.m. Super great time. So I'd wake up, go to my 8 a.m. class, go eat, come back to the room, study for a little bit maybe, talk to my teammates, talk to my roommate, whatever, lift, practice, and then get home. We always had a team meeting on Mondays, so that was a part of that day. And then Tuesday, pretty much the same exact thing. Wednesday, the same exact thing. Thursday is more of like a game prep, slower practice. Still really throughout the day, pretty much the same exact thing. If we were going to travel, we would leave on Friday. We would fly, bus, whatever, and then obviously play Saturday. And that same exact day, we would actually hop on the plane and fly back. So we'd always be back Saturday night if it was in a week.
I'm always curious, after a game, when do you guys eat after a game? Do you eat in the locker room before you hop on the plane? Do you eat on the plane? When do you chow down?
We catered in Chick-fil-A every single time. So we catered in Chick-fil-A, and we got it before we got on the plane, and we would eat it on the plane. And then the stewardesses would come through, like they normally do, with like the garbage bags and stuff like that. We'd throw all our stuff in there, obviously thank them. And then that's what we would do, though. We would always eat Chick-fil-A. I was so sick of Chick-fil-A. By the end of the season, it was crazy. Even to this day, I see Chick-fil-A and I'm like, it's just not sounding good to me. So, but yeah, that's how we would do it, catering Chick-fil-A.
So after the season's done, that regimen kind of changes. So do you carry more academic classes after the season or that next semester, or did your class load kind of stay the same?
Pretty much stays the exact same. So we would carry typically about 15 credits in the fall. And then we would carry 15. If you wanted to take another one, you could take 18 credits in the spring. But I mean, that's a lot of classes.
Yeah.
You're looking at 6
Yeah, it
classes. So, but yeah, we typically kept it the exact same. We always kept it so they were really smart. Our advisors were really, really smart because they knew that there would be guys on the team that might not do too hot in one class, and you need 12 credits to be full time and to
Right.
be eligible to play football. So if you failed a class, you still had 12 credits that you passed, hopefully. And then you were always pretty much set right there. So we always carried 15 credits from the fall to the spring.
So you play it at North Dakota, and you end up leaving there, and you come back to and play at Oshkosh for a year at Oshkosh. A little bit different experience, I would say.
Yeah, so I went from North Dakota State to Northern Michigan.
Okay.
I played there for a year. I went to school there for a year, and then transferred down to Oshkosh after that.
Northern Michigan, is that the indoor wood arena?
Yep, biggest what is it? Biggest wooden structure or something like
in
that
North America, right?
or something like that.
That place is
North
nuts.
America,
I reffed a lacrosse game in there one time.
Yeah, the Superior Dome.
Yeah, that place is cool as can be. What's it like playing football in there?
Really cool. So we played, obviously when I was in Fargo, we played in the Fargo Dome. So I was pretty used to playing indoors, but the Superior Dome is a completely different deal. It's just a big sphere, pretty much, like a half sphere. So AstroTurf though, that was not awesome. So that was always, you were always pretty much shredded up after a game in the Superior Dome, but it was a really cool experience. Northern Michigan was not doing too hot. I think they were 1-9 the season before. So I had transferred like during COVID, so they didn't play. D2 schools didn't play at all during that time.
Okay.
But yeah, the year before COVID, they were 1-9, and when I got there, I think we ended the season 4-6. So it was pretty cool to be able to put some wins in the win column. For a team like that. Coaches were all really cool there too. It just, I don't know, I just didn't fit in, I don't think, there. So just then I headed out and thought going home to Oshkosh would be a better move for me. Play with some Wisconsin fellows and be all good.
You mentioned playing on turf. A lot of those schools. I mean, you played on a lot of turf in your life. How does your body feel right now? Can you feel it in the knees, the hips?
Yeah, I feel like I'm about to be 24 here in a couple of weeks, and I feel like my joints are about to be 90. So I make do though. They definitely are cracking and popping when they shouldn't be. But
I'm double your age, and I can tell you it doesn't get better. So good luck.
Can't wait, man. I cannot wait. Yeah.
You talked about what the influence of Coach Jones was on you. Are there anybody else that was really a huge influence and a huge person that you remember in your life coming through school, or even now at this point?
Yeah, I definitely got a shout out Coach Heisler, because he was my intermediate school phy ed teacher, and he actually got me introduced to Coach Jones. So I was in 5th grade. Coach Heisler was just so happened to be outside watching recess, and all of a sudden he sees this kid just torching people in the field playing football. And he, comes up and finds me, and he's just like, have you ever thought about actually playing? And I told him, I was like, yeah, I thought about it. And, I was playing flag football at the time. I was like, my mom said I was too small. And he's like, don't worry about that. We'll get her on board. And we just got to get you to these camps. And he gives me this little flyer for like a 6th grade football camp. Varsity players would volunteer to go to it and help out. And I remember I looked at the flyer specifically, and this flyer said $40 fee though to sign up. And I looked at it and I told him, I'm like, I can't afford that. I can't get that $40. We can't swing it. He's like, are you sure? Like, just ask, just see what's going on. So I was like, all right. So I went and brought it to my mom. She's like, yeah, no, we can't do that right now. Like, it's not going to happen. So I'm like, all right, sounds good. So I brought it back to him, and he's like, you know what? Don't even worry about it. Let me see what I can do. And then he introduced me to Coach Jones, and they both told me and said, they looked at the fee, and they just were pretty much just like, if you miss a single one of these Wednesdays, you have to pay this $40. So if you go to the first one, you are committed to it. If you miss any one of them after that, you have to pay this $40. He's like, deal? I'm like, all right, deal. So didn't miss a single Wednesday. And that's what kind of got me. That's honestly what really hurled me into Kimberly football was Coach Heisler. He was a big stepping stone in that aspect for me.
That's awesome to hear how a relationship like that, even at the 5th grade level, is something you still remember, and how that helped you to get to where you are today. That's just really, it's amazing when you hear about those stories and that single person who just took the time to help you out and what that does. And that's awesome to hear.
I just all it took was one guy. That's it.
Yeah.
So DJ, currently, now this is going to come out in audio form, so they're not going to get to see, but I see you almost every morning. You're in fantastic shape, so much so that you're in competitions for just being you. You're training people in physical fitness. I mean, how are you liking life these days? What's it like to be a 24-year-old? You played college football. You're kind of moving into another phase of life now. It's a pretty good phase of life, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm just chilling, honestly, day to day. My life isn't very complicated. I wake up, I usually, take some time to myself, 15, 20 minutes, sit out in the living room, meditate for a little while, go to the gym. I get to, change people's lives ultimately. So it's a really good feeling to be able to give back. I've been really fortunate to have a lot of people in my life who have helped me out in so many different ways that it feels really good to be able to know that I'm helping, these people who need it on a day-to-day basis. So, my life is good. I got a really awesome girlfriend. I get to hang out with her on a day-to-day basis. I got a lot of really good friends. And a really just, good tight circle that are, there for me and have my back. So, and I get to see, smiling faces like yours, Joe, on every single morning, come on in, and have good conversations. So, I really can't complain. There's really not a whole lot to complain about, honestly, at the stage of life that I'm currently in. I read a lot of books.
That's awesome.
A lot of books. I read a lot of books. So
I got to tell you, Dub and I love that part of the morning is when you're there and shooting the breeze with you, and you've helped us and probably stupid questions that we ask, but they're helpful to us. So we appreciate just as much. And Tosh too he's a great book reader. I go through streaks, but I love to read books, and it's great to hear that.
Yeah, 100%. I definitely agree. I'm currently reading the good old Compound Effect right now, so we're getting through that one.
Nice. So do you read to learn? Do you read for fun? Do you do a little bit of both?
I would say honestly a little bit of both, because I read to learn, but I find learning really enjoyable. So I definitely mainly read to learn, though. I would definitely say that. So Compound Effect is more of I would say like a financial book, but the idea behind the Compound Effect is practically just consistency plus time plus small smart decisions. That is like the compound effect that equals radical differences. So
I love that.
You can use that obviously with money, life, the gym, your own fitness journeys, things like that. So just learning about that stuff, and Coach Jones and the Kimberly football program taught me a lot of those kind of lessons, but being reminded and re-seeing that stuff, I've been away from that for a couple of years. So just being reminded that that stuff is real still, and definitely usable. It's just good for me. I feel like I got too confident in my own abilities to go through life, that I started to kind of stray off on a bad path. So we're back to it. We're back to me, and we're getting back there.
That's good. What is your you still work out quite a bit. What is your workout routine during the week? What are you doing?
Oh yeah. So I'm working out 5 days a week right now. So I typically try to get in the gym Monday through Friday. take Saturday and Sunday to myself. And then my routine right now, I'm doing what's called a bro split. So practically with the bro split, you just work out 2 main muscle groups at a time, and just really hammer them for, an hour. So right now my Mondays are full body workouts. So that one is, I just go in, do a full body split, do some kinesthetics and stuff like that. Tuesdays would be chest and triceps. Wednesdays are legs and abs. And then Thursday is going to be shoulders and biceps, and Friday is just back. So that's a good old 5-day split for me right there.
So DJ, you've talked about, a few coaches have made a big difference in your life, and you're coaching right now, really, is being an instructor at the gym. Is there any part of you that wants to get involved in coaching at, like high school or youth level and getting into football or track as well?
I would definitely say eventually, for sure.
Okay.
Definitely something. So I really, coaching is something that I know is you dedicate a lot of time to that. That's something that you got to know you have time for. And I would never want to be coaching a small, 6th grader and not being able to give them 100% of what I got in my time. So that is definitely something I eventually want to get into. Right now, I am looking to get into continuing to play football at a different level.
Okay.
So I've been, training and things like that. This is my first fall where I haven't played football. And I'm telling you, I've just been itching to get back out there. But eventually, to answer your question, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
So what would you look to play, like arena football, or what are some options for you?
Yeah, I've been really, really looking into trying to get a spot to play for the Green Bay Blizzard.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to play some arena football. Would be really, really fun. Be a really good time. It's just a matter of getting that info. I've sent in some applications and stuff, to obviously apply to try out and things like that. So
Okay.
Sent some emails as well to some people in the offices out there. Thinking about just continuing to just be annoying and just show up one day and just say, "Hey, this is my name and here's what's going on." So, but yeah, that's where I'm looking.
We'll have to cut this out and blast them with tweets and TikToks and everything. So, dude, I mean, seriously, this is a no-brainer, isn't it?
Yeah, we gotta get them. We gotta get it. Just blast it and annoy them.
Well, no, that's really awesome. I mean, good luck to you. That's really cool to see and. Man, that's got to happen. I would love to see that happen. We'll come and watch some games for sure. Well, DJ, this has been awesome, and it's been good to just finally kind of just get to know you, hear your story. It's like everybody, it's an incredible story, man. It really is. Just the way you grew up and kind of kid and adult now that you've turned into. It's really cool to see. So I think everybody's going to be pretty taken aback when they listen to this story. So thank you. I'm glad you told us.
Yeah, man, no problem. I'm a pretty open book, so I don't got a whole lot to hide.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was great to get to know you, and we can't wait to get your story out to the community. Maybe we can get some leads on that arena football for you as well.
Yeah, man. The more the merrier. I definitely appreciate it.
And in the meantime, come to Crunch, everybody, and help Ken out. Get a membership. Have DJ train you. I tell you what, I love it there. It's home for me. So come check that out. Thanks, DJ.
Yeah, not a problem. Appreciate you guys for having me on. Honestly, it's been an honor. So, obviously, Joe, I'll see you in the morning. And then Tosh, man, it was really good sitting down and chatting with you.
Yeah, you as well. Thank you very much.
Tosh, it's Red Smith Banquet Throwback time, and we got a doozy this week once again. They're all good, but this one is really good. Number 80, Donald Driver.
Yeah, probably one of the most recognizable Packers in the last 20 years. He's done so much for the community, his softball games, his charity, and just, what a great guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably almost more well known off the field than on the field. He was absolutely incredible on the field, one of the best wide receivers the Packers ever had. But off the field, like you said, the softball tournament that he had every year kind of took the place of Brett Favre's softball tournament, one of the top events at Fox City Stadium, and then
still going on.
Yeah, absolutely, and Dancing with the Stars, and just. Yep. More than anything, it's just Donald Driver's smile, man. That's really what it was.
Yeah, he's written children's books. He has a new play out in Milwaukee called Dream Quickie Dream, which is just coming out like as we speak. He's doing so much. Plus his training academies he has. He's just a fantastic person. When you talk about somebody who represents the spirit of the Red Smith Sports Awards and the nice guy, he is that guy.
Yeah, no doubt about it. He's exactly who we as the Red Smith Banquet would look for, somebody exactly like Donald Driver. So this throwback is from 2010 Red Smith Banquet at the Paper Valley Hotel, and that was a heck of a lineup. We had Jay Billis and Whitey Herzog, one of the classic old baseball managers, but this was in January of 2010. I do remember it well. The Packers were in the playoffs. I don't remember who they played that week, but that's right. The wild card weekend or the weekend after is usually when the banquet was held. And obviously the Packers were pretty decent through that time. So Donald came here on a Tuesday night. That's typically their off day, but he came and went to practice the next day, and he graced the crowd as only Donald Driver can.
Yeah, it's a great interview. You look for that, that Donald Driver smile, and what can you say? It's Donald Driver.
Absolutely, and I think the surprise of being in that room that night, he wasn't sure what he was walking into that night. I do remember that, so I think he was a little surprised to see, 1,200 people out in the crowd.
Yeah, exactly. If you enjoy this snippet as you listen to Donald Driver, remember, check out Monday's or Sunday's episode, full Donald Driver throwback, which will be on YouTube, and hit subscribe on there and favorite and do whatever you need to continue putting the message of the Newsa-Cast back out into the public.
Absolutely. Those Sunday mornings, full video too. So you get to see what the Red Smith actually look like.
Red Smith Sports Awards Banquet Throwback.
The Red Smith Award, of course, goes to someone who has made some unique contributions to sport in Wisconsin, and also epitomizes the great values that Red Smith exhibited.
Let's give a Red Smith welcome.
Thank you all. They said I only have like 10 minutes to speak, so you got to sit down fast, because I talk for a long time. I could talk all day long. First, Bill, thank you so much for that great introduction. I got to pay him for all that good stuff he just said, so I really appreciate it. To the Red Smith Committee, thank you for making me the recipient of this year's award. It is an honor to be mentioned with all the greats before me that have received this award. I was talking to my brother on my way here, and he said, "Where are you going?" I said, "Well, I'm on my way to Appleton." Asked my brother, he really don't know where Appleton is. He thought I was on a plane going to wherever. So I had to tell him, I was like, Appleton, Wisconsin, that's where I'm going. He's like, "Where you going?" I'm like, "I'm receiving an award tonight." He said, "How many awards can you receive?" I said, "Not enough." So, once again, it is tremendous. It's very touching, because I've received so many awards throughout my career, and people put you on this pedestal You know, we all on this pedestal as athletes, and the first time we do something wrong, we crumble. And, you know, I think everyone knows about the Tiger Woods incident and every other athlete that's been on top of a pedestal, and when something bad happens, he crumbles. And one thing that I've always said to young people, and that's basically who I want to talk to today, the young recipients today, and mostly young adults. Never give up on the dream. You know, I got drafted by the Green Bay Packers in 1999, and no one believed that I was going to make it. I mean, I had people say, I just don't think this young skinny kid is going to make it. But I never gave up. And I remember it like it was yesterday. I still talk about how Ron Wolf pulled me in his office. He said, look, I got everything riding on you. I said, everything? I told him, I said, boy, I hope you don't get fired for this one, boy. And he told me, he said, I got everything riding on you. You know, they had drafted another receiver, a couple of receivers before me, and I remember it, and I'm sitting there talking to Ron. I'm like, Ron, why you draft me 213? He said, Donald, you kept fussing about 212. I'm like, right, so you took to me 212 instead of 213. He said, it didn't matter, you still was gonna get the same amount of money. So I told him, I said, well, Ron, one thing I want to say is that I am honored to be part of the Green Bay Packers organization. I said, regardless of what milestones that I have accomplished throughout my career, is one milestone that I want more than anything else. And I think everyone in this room knows what that is. And that's putting a Super Bowl ring on my finger. But there's so many athletes out there that never gets to that Super Bowl. And I'm not saying that I will never get there, because I've been in the playoffs. Out of my 11 years, I've been to the playoffs 7 times. And I haven't been to a Super Bowl yet. And that's one of my biggest dreams as a kid, is to be able to walk around with a Super Bowl ring on me. And everyone all 1,600 of you all say, don't let me see that ring. and that's always been a dream of mine. But when I walked out there, I told Ron Wolf and Bob Harlan one day, I said, if I never make the Super Bowl, if I never win the Super Bowl, as long as I'm in the Packers Hall of Fame, that's all that matters. And he said, well, you're on your way there. And that made me more happy than anything else, because we all want that dream to win that Super Bowl. But Donald Driver don't have too much long. So within the next 5 years, yeah. So within the next 5 years, I need all 70,000 fans in the stands, all the million fans around the world cheering us on, so we can get past that first round that we should have won, the NFC Championship game, because if you just cancel the second round out, that means we in the NFC Championship game already, and get to the Super Bowl. And all we need is all our fans to cheer us on. And I know that next year, we won't let you guys down, because that is our ultimate goal for not just me, but all the players in that locker room, the organization, the coaching staff. That is all our dreams, to win the Super Bowl and bring that trophy where it belongs, back to Lambeau Field. On behalf of me, my wife that's not here, my 2 loving kids, we want to say thank you once again. God bless, and take care.
All right, Newsa-Cast listeners, it's time for that episode that we're finally nailing down. It's the forgotten and never forgetting. Forgotten are those things that you just want to forget, that, forget they happen. Hopefully they never come back. and never forgetting are the things you want to continue to remember the rest of your life. So, Joe, I'm going to let you take a little closer look at the forgotten and what you have.
Well, Tosh, just like you said, you hope it's forgotten, you hope or forget, you hope it doesn't come back, but I have to bring this one back because it's literally driving me crazy. It's the corner of Driftwood, Calumet, and John Street. I've told this story before, but it's getting worse. The light will not change when you are on Driftwood facing north. So you're looking at John Street, Calumet's crossing in front of you. The light will not change. I have to run a red light every single day. And I understand that there's probably sensors in the road, but like I've said before, this is a dedicated bike lane. There's the little green sign with the little biker guy on it. That's there. That's just, you're on a bike lane. I'm not heavy enough to set off the sensor. Thank God, I guess, but I can't set off the sensor so the light doesn't change.
Maybe you just need to quit working out.
I don't know what I need to do. I'm furious enough that I should be able to jump with enough power onto that to change it. But I'm trying to forget, Tosh. I really am.
Nice.
But anyway, my blood pressure is slowly coming down. What's happening in your world that you want to forget?
Well, it's that time of year where if you have trees in your yard and you have it's a leaf picking up time, it's yard work time, it's fall, and I love the trees in the spring, in the summer, but the fall's a time that you just like, oh, seriously? So you mow them in, you pick them up, take them to the dump, whatever you have to do, but it's that time of year that it's I love fall to death. Seriously, it's my favorite season of the year, but the yard work tends to get a little bit, it's moving into winter, cutting down plants and pulling out the garden, picking up leaves. Yeah, it's just that time of year.
Well, you definitely, you have a big yard. You guys, you and Melissa do a lot of, you guys are farmers. So there's a lot there, but you guys have a lot of big trees in your neighborhood. So I can only imagine that it's got to be never ending until Thanksgiving of just raking and blowing.
I always love a strong wind. Unfortunately, it just moves it to somebody else's yard, not mine. Yeah. But hey, out of sight, out of mind.
Now, do you set up the ice rink? Is that the last thing you do in preparation for winter?
That'll be starting. Actually, I have to order a new a liner for it this year, but we'll get the once you don't put the liner and stuff in until the grass kind of goes dormant, so you don't kill off your grass.
Right.
But yeah, that'll be after Thanksgiving. So we got a couple months yet for that to take place.
Tosh does Wisconsin right. He's figured out a way to use his outdoor space year round.
Try to.
Yeah, you definitely do. A little fireplace. You're good to go, man.
Yeah,
you
got the fireplace. Yeah. We have a lacrosse field during the summer. We have a hockey rink during the winter. Right. So
it's good to go, man. Anybody needs tips, Tosh knows how to do it.
There you go. Excellent. Well, that's a good forgotten for both of us, but what do you have for never forgetting?
Well, Tosh, I have to mention this. We've talked about music now for a couple of weeks. We've each brought, Jimmy Buffett we talked about, or spent a couple of weeks talking about Dave Matthews, and I couldn't let this one slip. We're recording this on a Sunday night. So Friday night, Fish would have played their 2000th show in Nashville. So
excellent.
I thought obviously it's my favorite band ever. And I got to just shout out Fish, man. 2000 shows. And the next night, the 2001st show, of course, they opened up with an epic Fish jam of 2001. So it's
nice.
They are playing so well. And they're so, I gotta tell you that they're kind of inspirational. In fact, just how healthy they are. And just, these guys, they're older than we are. They're approaching 60 and these dudes can just play, but they look great. They sound great.
Listeners, you might not realize, but Joe saw 1,000 of those shows.
Yeah, well, I wish if you include YouTube shows, shout out to Jason Bishop, right? He's the guy that's got all the shows, or Chris Green. The lacrosse community loves Fish, so they'll get where we're coming from.
That's awesome. How many shows did you see?
Well, live, I've probably only seen like 30 some, but
that's still an accomplishment.
Yeah, it was a different era. I saw a lot in the 90s. But honestly, with YouTube, it's probably what I should do is I forgetting it is just music on YouTube. I mean, all the shows are on there, or even Spotify
Yep.
now. I mean, Fish is one of those bands where you can get so much of their music for free. You know, Spotify, you can literally get, I bet you they put out 100 shows live. Yes, Dave Matthews does the same thing. And you just listen to the shows, whatever ear, you know, a lot like the Grateful Dead. One of the cool things I like about jam bands are, or like a wine, right, Tosh? I mean, by era, they sound different through the different eras.
Absolutely.
The songs are played different.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
They mature.
Yeah,
and yeah, it is fun listening to old shows and coming back to newer ones and just hearing the difference and
absolutely
just knowing that, you know, 30, 40 years later, you're still listening to some pretty incredible music.
No doubt. And so many people I know dislike Fish, and I get, you know, I can't say that word all the time. You know, but like I said, I love them. And one of the things I love about them is their sense of humor, and that's carried through they've been together now 40 years. They have just a unique and really, really funny sense of humor that just plays through their lyrics, plays through their stage banter, just plays through who they are. So,
and it is because of bands like that we have the Iggy's, the Goose. We have those bands because of Fish. And then you had Fish because of the Grateful Dead, and you know the train keeps rolling, which is amazing to see.
In fact, it almost gets better and better. All the jam bands, you know, quote jam bands. I don't know what the right term is, but you're right. I mean, Joe Russo's band and all of these different bands. There was one that just came through. They're smaller. You know, the Runaway Grooms just played down at Poplar Hall earlier this week. I mean, there's so many bands like that. Kendall Street, remember those guys from Mila Music? They were fantastic. You know, they'd be considered a jam band. All the influence, you know, started with, you know, the Grateful Dead, Fish, Dave Matthews. Those bands were all, you know, in the 80s, 90s when all these current bands now were being born. So, or the kids were actually being born that are in the band. So.
It's excellent.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, cool. That's good. That's awesome. I'm going to move to my Never Forgetting.
What do you never forget?
You know, this is the weekend of youth hunt.
Oh,
for, a lot of people in Wisconsin. And for my son, actually, my boys are out right now Sunday as we're speaking here. Since Will's 18, he can take Ethan out on a youth hunt. So they went out to the farm, and they're going to go see if they see any deer. But hunting in fall in Wisconsin, it is a tradition for lots of families. It is actually probably more about camaraderie and being together with friends and family than it is even about getting a deer. And that's the cool thing. It's being with people you like. Our good friend Tim, who was on the show, sent me a collage of pictures from 5 years ago when we went down to his cabin in Viroqua and had a youth hunt. And Will was down there, and his son Bear, and my good friend Sam as well. And we did some youth hunting, we did some bow hunting, and we drank some beer and bourbon, and had a good time. So, you know, that's what it's all about. It's about remembering times with family and friends, and getting outside and enjoying the outdoors.
Man, Tash, there can't be anything better than that. That sounds so wonderful. I was actually just watching Tim is hunting. Actually, currently, I was watching some of his TikToks before we hopped on tonight, and he's awesome. We'll have to revisit him again sometime.
He's probably doing youth hunt with Bear, because Bear is I don't think Bear is 16 yet. He's a year older than Ethan, so it might be his last youth hunt. So
okay. Now, are both your boys hunting right now, or what are they doing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. Will came back from college, and he took Ethan out, and they're just doing their youth hunts out at the farm right now. So we'll see.
Nice.
See what they get, if anything, but at least they're getting outside and enjoying life.
So they hunt right at the farm, and
yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. In Reedsville. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, we have some bucks on the land. We've seen them on the camera. A couple nice ones, some spikes, some does. So yeah, we'll have to hopefully put a little venison in the freezer this year.
Tosh, someday we'll have to do a Newsa-Cast from a farm.
There you go. Excellent.
That would be good.
I have one we can do.
I think I know that place. So that'd be awesome.
All right, Joe. That was another great episode of the Newsa-Cast. Where do you think they can listen to more of these?
Well, Tosh, there's a couple of places they can go. One place, relatively new, a little thing called iTunes. And another thing, too, I think this just started as well, Spotify. So those two new services, why don't you go check those out? There's little buttons there, little plus buttons that you can hit that, hey, it really helps us out, Tosh, when they hit those buttons.
Absolutely. And they can also go to YouTube and check out the full throwback on Sunday mornings.
If you ever wondered what we look like, Tosh, check out YouTube, right?
Absolutely.
Good luck, folks. Thanks for listening to the Newsa-Cast. We appreciate your support. If you haven't yet subscribed, please do so and tell a friend. A huge thanks to Digstown for all the music in today's episode. Catch a gig or find them on Spotify. Northeastern Wisconsin Sports Advancement is a 501c3 organization. Our mission is to raise money, provide support, and create awareness for youth sports organizations in northeastern Wisconsin. We do this primarily through the Red Smith Sports Award Banquet and the Newsa-Cast. Each year, we give back to the community through 3 initiatives: the Every Kid Plays, the Gives Back Initiative, and scholarships to student athletes.